Hello cowboys and cowgirls, my name is Julia and today I'm going to show you guys how I got not one but 2 paid internships throughout my college experience. Just a heads up, you'll probably want to grab a pen and paper to take notes throughout this video, and quite frankly I just got new ones from Amazon. I'm jealous that I'm not taking notes along with you guys. I have seen so many videos on YouTube already on this topic and all of them seem to talk about the really obvious stuff when it comes to recruiting, and I think the world has just changed so much in the last year. March 2020 was our favorite month for sure, guys, right? Where we're working from home, networking in completely new ways. Nothing out there answers those questions. So today I'm literally going to give you guys the step-by-step guide. First things first, we're gonna start with your connections. And if you're like me, you probably didn't have any going into this process. When I talk to people about finding connections for internships, it kind of goes into this funnel. At the top of the funnel are the people that are going to be the closest to you and probably have the highest chance of success rate in landing an internship. At the bottom of the funnel are the people that are harder to reach, less responsive, and ultimately are gonna take more work on your behalf to convince for help. At the top are the people like your parents, your friends, your professors, and even your college or academic advisors if you have them. Basically people that are already in the space, they're already maybe working at a company that you might be interested in. These people are gonna be at the top of your funnel. In the middle are things like career fairs, university job boards, and LinkedIn. But there's something I want to point out here about LinkedIn. There are a lot of people that will just put their resume up and do a full blast out to their followers. I personally feel like this is not a good strategy to take, because when you're actually writing cover letters and when you're actually trying to persuade a company that you are exclusively interested in them, it is definitely gonna seem a little bit off if they see that you're saying basically the same thing with your resume to the entire world. Career fairs are also an interesting one because I put them at the middle of this funnel, but they were one of the most successful elements of my job search by far. 3 of my 4 offers came from companies that I met at a job fair. I definitely wouldn't discredit them even though I put them at the middle of the funnel. This is mostly because they're just harder to reach. Then at the bottom we have Facebook groups, Google searches, and some good old classic yet polite stalking. I won't say it's impossible. I've definitely had great communications, but finding the groups themselves can be difficult and it's just a lot more work on your behalf. Now that you've figured out your connections, we're gonna understand the recruiting calendar. Yes, there is a calendar. First thing to know is that most industries will have something called a recruiting season. If you don't know what yours is for your industry, go ahead and just pop in a little Google search. For example, I would search something like marketing recruiting season. January and February are the most common just because a lot of companies are kind of doing a reset. They're getting to the end of their fiscal year, which is basically their finance team's way of saying we are done collecting revenue. But October is also super common, especially in the internship space. Another thing to note is that if you're applying for the big guys, the Fortune 500 companies, they're often going to start as early as a year before if there is something that you think you're going to want to apply to. I find that sooner is always better than later. There's something very frustrating that happens in job recruiting that you wouldn't have with something like college apps, and that is deadlines. Companies do not give you deadlines 90% of the time. They themselves are looking for the best hire as fast as possible in most circumstances. I actually learned this the hard way. I was applying for a publicity internship and it popped up the day before Christmas. Rather than just sitting down applying, literally the next day I signed onto my computer, it was gone. So I missed my opportunity there. If you really want to have that security, I would start searching for internships 6 months before when your expected start date would be. Now we're going to talk about where to actually look. LinkedIn is going to probably be your best bet, and after that, Google Jobs. These are just the biggest marketplaces. They accumulate information from a lot of different sites versus just one industry or one area, but a couple of other good ones are Indeed, Handshake, Glassdoor. They all have kind of their pros and cons. Certain ones will give you company reviews, interview advice, but there's one call out I wanted to make, which is about the hidden network. Let's say that you have a connection that knows you're already skilled in a certain area. Reach out to that person and try to figure out what the company urgently needs. Once you have that information, you can sort of create your own job role and pitch it to them. This is your chance to step in, pitch your own job idea. If you have a connection that you want to build a stronger relationship with, this is a darn darn good way to handle it. Awesome, so you have the context now, and we're gonna go into the planning phase of things. We're looking for a paid internship here. So my advice is know what internships are going to be paid. And basically, from my experience, these are the 4 categories that they sort of fall into. Large corporations, law or legal firms, private firms or bigger privately held companies, real estate industry. Next up, you gotta know what you want out of your internship, because this is gonna help you break down which ones to apply and spend your time on and which ones you could just skip. If you're listening to this thinking like, Julia, I have no clue what I want, a couple of ideas include maybe there's a skill that you want to learn, maybe there's an experience that you want to have, learn what working in a big city looks like. Maybe it's simply knowing more about an industry before you commit to working in it for the next couple of years of your adult career. And hey, you know, sometimes it's gonna be good pay. As long as you're honest with yourself about what you want from your internship, you're on the right track. What I really recommend doing is switch your search results to look for full-time jobs. You might be thinking, okay, why would I do that? And just read the specifications of what graphic designer skills they're looking for. This is gonna help you get a feel for like which internships you're gonna be more inclined towards, and you're gonna understand some of the words they use to describe the job type that you are interested in going for. As you start applying to things, this is a really good time to make like an Excel or a Google sheet. Normally I would just walk you guys through how to do it, but I figured I'm gonna make it one step easier. I have a link in the description of this video where you can copy my template that I used for internship searches, and it is super easy to follow along with. So feel free to download that if you want to take a look. But basically you're gonna want to jot down the name of the role, the description or qualifications that you need to apply, deliverables you need to give to the company, and deadlines if they are provided. Just so I don't spend a bazillion hours on this video, I'm gonna give you guys a quick rundown here on my piece of paper that I was talking about before with my 5 top pieces of advice for your resume and cover letter. Resume, make it 1 page only. Some people tell you to do 2. Unless it's a portfolio, don't bother. Number 2, do not put photos in there. Your social media and your LinkedIn and all those other places on the internet are gonna have more than enough information that you do not need a picture on your resume. Number 3, if you choose to do a more creatively designed resume, make a copy that is boring, or as the recruiters will call it, an ATS friendly resume. Number 4, take some time understanding what an ATS even is and how it reads resumes. There's a ton of articles on this online. I'm gonna link a few down in the description below. And number 5, have numbers and quantities for everything that you have done. This is seriously so important for adding value. In terms of cover letters, have one. I know that not every company is gonna request it unless they explicitly tell you that they're not gonna be reading them or that they do not want you to send them. Make a cover letter either way. I would just focus on 1 to 2 key experiences, give a little bit of detail, why you are important to making them successful, leave it at that. You're not gonna wanna complicate this. Cover letters are already complicated enough. All right, so you've applied to your companies at this point. You have just done it again, you fabulous human. There are 3 more things that you're gonna do before the big interview day. Number 1 is you're gonna email recruiters, establish connections. Hunter.io is a killer website for finding people, companies that you're interested in, but make sure that you're contacting recruiters. People are gonna be creeped out if you contact their work email. Number 2, set up informational interviews. Find people that work in your field of interest, shoot them a polite LinkedIn DM. Here's a template for personally what I would send. And number 3, clear anything that could be sus from your social media. This one is kind of iffy because everyone posts on social media for fun. It is part of who you are. As much as I wish that we could just live by that, there are companies that are going to be more sensitive to what you post on social media than others, so just do yourself a favor in advance and go through and make sure that nothing weird or sketchy is on there. Or illegal. We know you're in college, come on. Alright, the final part of this video that I want to talk about is interviews. Interviews are scary, they're tough, but here's how to make it a slight bit easier. James Franco from the hit film The Interview is not gonna be there to help you. First things first, if your company has a Glassdoor account, the company that you're interviewing with, I want you to go and practice every single interview question. Like, put it into a Word doc and type out how you would answer that question in 30 seconds or less. The reason I would say to keep it shorter is because I want you to have time to have conversations and actually engage and ask questions during interviews, because that is another really important thing. You are obviously in a place where you're trying to put the best face on for that company. It is as much about you making the company happy as it is about the company making you happy. I know a lot of us can get into this desperation stage where we're almost like willing to take anything, but I want to give you the strength to sort of have leverage in that conversation. Ask about things like the culture of the company, what a typical day looks like. Open up about these things. I think that it's going to make the interview a lot less awkward, and it's going to make it seem more of a two-way conversation than you basically doing a pop quiz about yourself in front of another human being. And finally, before this gets way too long, when you're getting your offers and you're hearing back from all these companies, I want you to rate it 1 to 10 based on how much you think they're paying you, based on how comfortable you felt in the interview, based on how relevant the job is to what you actually want to learn. The company that scores the highest out of all of these is most likely going to be the most positive experience for you. I know that was a lot. I know you are going to do amazing things with your future. I'm super duper proud of you. If you would like to see more videos like this, or you have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comment section below. And while you're at it, like and subscribe to my channel. I upload every Wednesday, so if you want to turn on the bell notification, you'll get a little ding on your phone. And obviously it helps me out a ton as a small creator on such a big website like YouTube. I will see you cowboys and cowgirls in my next video. Bye-bye. Because this is